Thomas Tuchel is the new England manager. Some people like him as the new England manager and some people absolutely hate it. And I'm not gonna lie, the divide is justified because you never really know what you're gonna get with Thomas Tuchel. He's had some amazing moments like leading PSG to their first ever Champions League final and winning it with Chelsea against Pep Guardiola himself. But he's also had some really bad moments like falling out with PSG players and going trophyless with Bayern Munich, a team who wins at least one trophy every year. And today we look into whether or not Thomas Tuchel is the right fit for England.
We're not here just to take part, we're here to take over.
Off the bat, most people will be thinking he's a massive upgrade from Gareth Southgate. But what people don't realize is that Southgate has had a pretty successful time as England manager. While he might have not gotten the team to the finish line, they were right there on so many occasions. In 2018, he led the team to the semi-finals even though he didn't have the greatest squad at the time. Euro 2021, he made it all the way to the final where they took the best team in the competition all the way to penalties. In 2022, they went out against one of the best World Cup teams of all time in France. And even then, if Harry Kane scored that penalty, you never know. England might have been able to win the whole thing. Moving on to this year in 2024, despite all the hate, he led the team to the final. While yes, the players saved him on so many occasions, with the likes of Bellingham, Kane and Saka coming in clutch in the big moments, he still led the team to yet another final after being bashed by the fans and the media for the whole entire Euros. And that's another thing that people don't realize about Southgate. Even though the fans and the media absolutely hate him, the players adore him. You can see that he's a manager the players would die for. You can see it in the way the players talk about him even in the tough times. You can see in the connection and the sense of community he's built around the team. The previous golden generation of England never won anything because the players hated each other, and that's not the case with this generation. You can see that the players are connected and would die for each other, and this is all because of Gareth Southgate. As we can see, replacing Southgate won't be as simple as people think. And now that we know that, let's get into Thomas Tuchel. As I mentioned in the beginning, Thomas Tuchel has a lot of pros and cons, but I want to start with the pros. First of all, we have the Klopp connection. Klopp being one of the greatest and most successful managers of all time, of course a manager with a close connection to him will also be very highly rated. Klopp at Mainz led the team to promotion to the Bundesliga in 2004, and by the time he left Mainz in 2008, he was looked at as a club legend. And Thomas Tuchel's time at Mainz had similar success, using the blueprint set by Klopp. In just his second season at Mainz, he led the team to the Europa League. And just like Klopp, he moved on to coach Dortmund and had amazing success, winning the DFB Cup in 2017. But where he really put his name on the map was with PSG. A team who had ambitions of winning the Champions League but who had never even reached the Champions League final. Well, that changed in 2020 because he led PSG to the final. While they did lose it, it was still a big achievement for the club. But the club that Thomas Tuchel really peaked at was Chelsea. His squad wasn't the best compared to the other big European teams at the time. But despite this, he won the Champions League against the best manager and team in the world in Manchester City. And he even had Pep Guardiola going insane trying to figure out Thomas Tuchel's tactics.
Why Chelsea plays so good? Because they have three central defender closers, the two holding midfielder, rotating move close, the pockets closer. They have a structure of 5 and 2 players so close.
And I'm not even mentioning the fact that he already managed the likes of Kane, who's arguably the best striker in the world under Tuchel. Another thing about Tuchel that reminds me of the likes of Mourinho and Carlo Ancelotti is his pedigree in knockout competitions. Over a whole league season, he might not be the best, like we saw him with Bayern Munich last year, but in knockout football, this man is a specialist. And the fact that international football is knockout football, I do think Thomas Tuchel can turn England into real contenders and maybe even bring it home. And now that we talked about the pros of Tuchel, let's get into some of the cons, because not everything is all sunshines and rainbows with him. First of all, people hate the fact that England have hired a foreign coach. They are calling it a new low and that England are looking desperate. Another con about Tuchel is the way he gets along with people. In almost all of his clubs, he fell out with not only the players like Mbappe and Lukaku, but even the higher ups like Todd Bowley and PSG director Leonardo. Another thing is that Thomas Tuchel sometimes in game plays a little too defensive. Yes, his tactics are amazing, but sometimes he makes tactical decisions that end up costing him, like last season where he took off his two best attackers to play with 6 defenders against Real Madrid, and we all know how that ended up. Tuchel is a two-sided cone and you never know what you're gonna get with him, which truly makes him a paradox. But now that you know the pros and the cons, let me know down in the comments what you think about him and whether he can lead England to success or not. And with that being said, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe because best believe we are here to take over.